Welcome back, folks. If you follow along with the channel's Instagram page, you'll see, I think 2 days ago, I did a poll on my Instagram stories. And basically, I asked all my followers if you guys would like to see a video oriented towards what gear I would recommend or what gear I use for Atlantic salmon fishing. Overwhelming amount of you guys said yes. I think I got like 50 something votes said, yes, do it. Sounds like a good idea. I figured what better time to do it. We have our trout season opening up in 2 days. So there's gonna be lots of videos of the trouting. I'm so excited for that. And shortly after that, June 1st, is our salmon season. So I figured in preparation for our salmon season, I do get a lot of questions on what gear I use, right down to the socks I wear and my waders. Stuff so simple and in-depth as questions like that. We're gonna be taking all my Atlantic salmon gear and going through it. So I'm gonna try to leave every single product I talk about today linked in the description below. So if you guys are interested in any of the stuff that I'm using or recommending, you guys can go get yourself some of that. So this is not fly fishing in general. This is just Atlantic salmon fishing. Basically, I'm gonna gear myself up now as if I'm going on a river tomorrow morning, and I'm gonna walk you guys through what I use, why I use it, and recommendations along the lines of all those products. This might be a lot to go through, but let's get to it. So, let's get started on this. I think I'm gonna start off with the basics. To go salmon fishing, you're obviously going to need a fly rod. A lot of people ask what weight rod I use, what length rod I use, stuff like that. So I basically use anything from a 5 weight up to an 8 weight. Now I know what you're saying, 5 weight seems pretty light for salmon, and it is. We're gonna get into that right now. So for a new angler, or just the most common fly rod I can recommend for Atlantic salmon, is a 9-foot 8 weight. Just overall, probably the best combination of weight and length that you're gonna get. So for my 9-foot 8 weight, I actually have a couple, but I'm just gonna go through, like I said, if I was going salmon fishing tomorrow morning, what I'm packing and what I'm grabbing. So I'm grabbing my 9-foot 8 weight Loop Opti K2. This is a great rod. I would definitely recommend this rod to anybody starting out, or even anybody who is die-hard salmon fisherman like myself, anybody with a lot of experience like myself. This rod still does it every time for me, and I keep coming back to it. It's a beautiful rod. Now, you know, once you've gained quite a bit of experience with the salmon fishing, don't feel scared to move down to a lower weight. Have a bit of fun with it, because you'll come to realize with the experience, even going down to a 7 weight, a 6 weight, or even a 5 weight, you can still play salmon just as easily than an 8 weight. It's really not that much different. You just got to get used to the rod you're using. And down to my 6 weight rod, that is actually new. I haven't used it for salmon yet, but I have used 6 weights before. This is my Orvis Clearwater 9-foot 6 weight. Now I got a nice few landlocked salmon on this, you know, throwing some nymphs and stuff during our winter season. But this is just a beautiful rod. It's kind of Orvis's lower line of rods, but I mean, it's just a beautiful rod. It feels very similar to the Opti K2, but I still think I would prefer the Opti K2 over this one. But even saying that, this is just a beautiful rod. The Orvis Clearwater 9-foot 6 weight. So if I were to grab a 6 weight, this is what I'm grabbing. Love this rod and how it bounces with my reels, which we'll get to my reels in a second. Now, I've actually never owned a 7 weight. I don't really plan to be honest. I have 8 weights, I have 6 weights, and I don't find there's that much different really in any rod I've tried between an 8 weight and a 7 weight for some reason. But I do have a 5 weight. This is a 9-foot 6 Loop Opti K2. That extra 6 inches really helps when you're sacrificing the lower weight. This is a 5 weight, and like I said, the extra 6 inches on it just helps tremendously. This is a beautiful rod as well. Now, the only 5 weight I've ever used for salmon before was an 8-foot 6 little St. Croix Triumph, I think it's called, and that was very fun. But I know it's going to be nice to have that extra 6 inches to be able to handle those salmon a little better. And you might be asking, like, Braden, there's no way that's ethical, salmon on a 5 weight. Yeah, definitely was. It was not really a challenge at all. But back to my first point, that's where the experience comes in with it. I wouldn't expect the new angler who fishes, you know, a week out of the whole season to go out and land fish on a 5-weight. Now I say land them because anybody can go out and fish away with it, but where the experience actually comes in is when you got to land that fish in a timely manner, where you're not there fighting it for 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes on a rod because you're not used to it. So with experience, you can definitely go down in weights and be just as effective as, you know, the classic old 8-weight that a lot of Newfoundland recommends. And they do recommend this for a good reason, in my opinion. Now my reels. I have a lot of different reels, but like I said, I picked out the ones that I would recommend to somebody to use 100% no doubt. This one here is a Orvis Hydros. Now I have this in, I think it's a 7/8 weight, and I've got this matched up with Airflow line. The Airflow line that's on it is an Airflow 8-weight cast, Canadian Atlantic Salmon taper. That line is just absolutely awesome. It pairs up very well with the Opti K2, but I love this reel. Love it so much. It does everything I need it to and more. It has great drag and it makes fighting fish so easy. I crank my drag basically all the way up, horse them in pretty well with my my 8-weight combo, this and the Opti K2. I pretty much got dialed in landing grills in probably a minute to a minute 30 seconds, which is darn good. So this reel here is great. It's got a nice little click to it. Yeah, beautiful reel. I love it. Cost me a pretty penny, but if you're gonna get into something like fishing and be serious about it, especially fly fishing, you're gonna want good gear. And this paired with Opti K2 is good gear that's not gonna fail you on the river when it matters. Now this reel here is the one I use on my 5-weight and my 6-weight. This is a Cheeky Preload 2.0, and this came pre-spooled with Cheeky line and Cheeky backing. This is a lovely reel. I caught a lot of landlock on this. I broke in this reel during our winter season. Nothing crazy big, but just by using it, I can tell it's definitely a quality reel. So this is loaded up with 5-weight line, which you can cast on a 6-weight, no issue at all. You can go down a line from your rod's recommendation, but I wouldn't recommend going up a line. So this reel, I would definitely recommend it. The price point is definitely there for a beginning angler as well, but Cheeky makes some quality products definitely at affordable cost for sure. I was very impressed with the quality of this at the cost that I paid for it. Got this one on Cabela's, I do believe, so I'll try to leave a link to that down below if it's still available on there. So that's what I would 100% recommend to anybody, angler starting off or somebody who considers himself an absolute pro. I would definitely recommend those rods and reels to you. They do me well. They have not failed me yet, and I don't expect them to. So now let's get on to what I wear. There's no specific clothing I wear. I don't throw on base layers or anything. I just dress for the weather. And last year I had a pair of Simms Free Stones. They were great waders. They were just a little tight around my waist. So I decided to upgrade, I guess. And I bought these. These are men's riffle stocking foot waders. I got these on Cabela's on a great sale. This is them. I got them in a size 2XL. They're kind of big on me, but I wanted that because those cold, chilly mornings, you want to be able to, you know, layer up underneath and take off clothes as needed. I don't like being restricted in my waders, so they are pretty loose around the legs, but some people don't like that. I personally don't care. These are perfect for layering up. You know, I could wear these whenever and be able to layer up properly underneath them. That was a big thing I'd take into consideration when buying a pair of waders. I also look at the reviews, and all the reviews on these guys were pretty solid. And Simms is top of the line brand, top of the line gear for a reason. They've been trusted for as long as I've been fishing, so I'm going to continue to trust them because they haven't done me wrong yet. Simms riffle waders. They got a nice pouch on the inside, which I love. Actually has a little cloth fiber there where you can stick your flies onto. Love that for sure. Zipper pouch goes inside. They got a pouch on the outside, and they got the little hand warmer on the inside. Love that in a pair of waders. It's awesome. What really caught my eye on these was the pattern. It's a beautiful green camo. Absolutely love it. Now, I'm not going to try these on for you. You're going to have to stay tuned to the channel and go watch me fishing them in about 13 days or so. But yeah, they're just a solid pair of waders. And they do come up high, which I love, because there's times where I'm fishing on deeper rivers that I couldn't get to places in my Freestones that I'm going to be able to get to in these. Just a solid pair of waders. They come with the wading belt as well, so solid choice. Very happy about these. And they're gonna do me lots of hours on the river. Hopefully lots of years on the river. Next thing I want to talk about is the wading boots. If you're wearing stocking foot waders, which I would definitely recommend over the one piece, that's totally up to you how much money you want to put into it and how often you're going to be at this. That's totally up to you, but I would recommend stocking foot waders no matter what. They're so much comfier and they last a lot longer. I always size up, so generally I'm a size 12. There are some boots that take a size 13 in, but size 12 in all the stocking foot waders I've ever owned just doesn't cut it. So I always size up and go to 13. This year I'm going to be going with the Corker greenback wading boot. The selling point for these for me was a removable sole. So the first thing that gives out on a pair of wading boots is one of two things. It's either the laces, which is no big deal, it's a lace, you just replace it. That's just from getting wet and dry and chafed and all that in the eyelets. Or, most commonly, it's probably gonna be your felt sole. And you can get, usually on wading boots, you can get just a normal rubber sole or a felt. Definitely go with the felt. Sure, you might slip a little bit in mud while you're walking to and from the river, but it doesn't really matter if, you know, you kind of take a tumble on the river side, because you're not going to fall down and yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I would definitely recommend getting a pair of wading boots with a felt sole. And I'll show you these now. These are a great pair of wading boots. Corkers is probably up there with wading boots across the world. They're a great brand. These things here are just awesome. I'm so excited to put these on and use them this year. Right back here, they've got that removable sole, which I love. So when they give out, you know, you don't have to go spend 200 bucks on a new pair of wading boots. And that's probably cheap for wading boots these days, honestly. But they're just a solid, they're just a solid pair of wading boots. And they're very comfortable in those waders. And this wasn't in my head when I was buying them, but they match the waders really well. But yeah, it's pretty simple, just stocking foot waders, wading boots. If I can give one little bit of advice to anybody who is going to invest in a pair of stocking foot waders and wading boots, don't cheap out. And I know what you're saying, like, Braden, I don't want to be spending $1,000 on a setup. You don't have to spend that much, you definitely don't. But don't go spending like $300 or $400 on a pair of boots and waders combined. You want to get something good that's going to last you. Read reviews. Most of all, try it out yourself. Try them on, see what you think. What's catered towards your kind of fishing. I know I said stick with felt soles, and I will stand true to that. But if you're fishing, like, let's say up the coast from Deer Lake, which is where I live, to my knowledge, there's a lot of rivers that are just mud. So you might not want felt soles in places like that. But again, that's why you get something quality like Corkers, where you can switch out the soles. Throw a pair of soles in your backpack. If you know you're gonna be fishing a place and you're gonna be wading out deep and you're kind of nervous going out there with felt soles, switch over to the rubber. So that's what I love about Corkers. Another thing that I have to recommend to anybody, I don't care if it's your first time going salmon fishing or if it's your millionth time going fishing for Atlantic salmon on Newfoundland's rivers here, you want to have a good landing net. It is absolutely essential, especially if you're by yourself. This one here is Lucky Strike brand. I can't remember where I bought it to. I believe it was on sale somewhere, but this one has an extendable handle. It extends out pretty far, so it'll make it easy when you're by yourself scooping fish or your buddy scooping fish. And the biggest thing I look for in a net, for salmon in particular, is rubber coated. It keeps the fish so much safer in the net. It's not going to get tangled up in their gills or, you know, slice their fins or their tail, which causes tail rot, which just leads to a whole bunch of other issues. And it doesn't take their scales off. Does not take their scales off at all, which is beautiful. This gets wet and it just slides over the fish like nothing's there. And that's one of the things I look for in a landing net, is you want it to be fish friendly. You don't want to go out with these just rope and knotted, because it's just not good for the fish. It beats them up more than it does anything, really. Good landing net, and you do want it to be deep for salmon. This one I want to say is 1.5 feet deep, and you could easily fit a 15-pound salmon in this net if you wanted to. I think the biggest thing that's been in this net was like 8.5 pounds, but you could definitely fit something bigger in this net if you needed to. Another thing I take everywhere, I take this literally everywhere. I'm not just talking fishing. Like sometimes I take this bag hunting. This is a Loop 25 liter dry bag. There's been times later in the year when I'm fishing and I don't even wear waders, throw all my gear in this bag and we gotta cross a river that's over our heads, put it above me, let it float, nothing gets wet inside it. It's a great dry bag. You can roll the top or you can roll it too and cinch it down here. It's got rod holders on it right here. Put your rod tube down there, strap it in. Water bottle holders, bunch of clips on the front. You can see here I've got a little saw. It's just a quality bag. I've had this one for, I want to say 5 years now, and there's only a couple little pinholes in it right down here, which is just my fault from the abuse. But this thing stands up so well. And there's one bag I can recommend to you. It is definitely a Loop dry bag. I know Hook A makes some dry bags similar to it. It's a very similar option. I personally don't have one, but I assume they're much the same. But I definitely recommend the Loop 100%. This little clip here is what I clip my net onto, and off we go. Keeps everything dry. I can fit everything in here, including my vest. Everything. I can fit everything I need in here. A lunch, propane stove, anything. And keeps me geared up for a hard day on the river. The last thing we're going to get into today is what I store all my gear in. Flies, leader, license, floating, anything you can think of. Now, in today's day and age, the packs and slings are becoming more popular, but I think I will forever be a vest guy. They're just so convenient. Throw it on, and 90% of them have mesh on them, so they're basically nothing. I mean, there's no weight at all on you except what you've got in there. And it's easy for me as well. Throw the camera on the mount on my chest, and it just, the vest pockets cradle it so well. I think I'll forever be a vest guy. It's just convenient for me. You have everything on you right ready to go, and you don't even notice it. So this one here is a Sims, doesn't say what kind it is. I'm pretty sure this is a tributary. I could be totally wrong though. This is a 2XL. Again, I like everything big. So I'll leave a link to this in the description if I can find it. Beautiful vest, beautiful. And you're definitely wondering, like, Braden, what do you got in that vest? So we'll show you right now because it's actually very important, a lot of the things I have in this vest. I'm gonna go through each pocket. So front right pocket, I've got a big spool of 8-pound Maxima Chameleon. Now I know in other parts of the world, people like to use tapered leader or tippet. And, you know, whether they use fluorocarbon or monofilament, I'll get into that. And they taper their leader. I don't like doing that. For Atlantic salmon, I haven't found it matters. From my experience, I haven't found it matters. So I don't go above 8 pound. I generally use 6 year round, but this stuff here, the Chameleon, this is scientifically made. It has some sort of chemical. I don't know how it works, but it works. I've been using this stuff for as long as I've been fishing, and this is very popular here in Newfoundland. This is one thing Newfoundlanders got figured out. One shot of Maxima Chameleon and you're good to go. The length leader I use, a lot of people say rod length and a half. I actually don't let my leader get below a rod length and a half. I use an insane amount of leader. It's just in my head, I'm thinking the further I can get away from the float line, the more camouflaged and discreet my fly is. And I have to say, I've definitely found it makes a big difference. It's a little awkward getting used to casting like a 17 to 20 foot leader, but once you get used to it, I can guarantee you will have better results. If you're able to, try it and come back to this video or DM me or something and let me know how your results were. I can guarantee you'll notice different results, especially late season. Makes a big difference for me. The Maxima Chameleon, I only buy this in monofilament. So if you don't know the difference between monofilament and fluorocarbon, monofilament floats, fluorocarbon sinks. Fluorocarbon's not weighted or anything, it just doesn't float. So the weight of your fly will, bring it down. It's completely legal, it's not weighted, so you can use fluorocarbon. People use it all the time. There's no law against it. A lot of people think just because it sinks, or doesn't float, I should say, that it's illegal. No, it's completely legal. So when I'm fishing bombers, I don't use a fluorocarbon leader, or dry flies I should say. I don't use a fluorocarbon leader, it's only monofilament. When I'm fishing wets, and I want to keep them up high, I'll use a monofilament leader. But when the salmon get finicky, or I want to fish subsurface and get it down to them as best I can, I'll switch out and use a fluorocarbon leader, and it helps a lot. That's another little trick that a lot of people don't take into consideration. Fluorocarbon leader will get your fly down a lot further, and you will get better results that way as well. So that's my go-to leader, is Maxima Chameleon. On here, this is just a little tippet ring. There's just a bunch of different Maxima Chameleons. I got 4 pound and 6 pound on here. 4 pounds mainly for trouting, but 6 pound I use for salmon a lot. It's just 3 other spools that I have. Next to it, I have spuds. All that is a little microfiber cloth built into a little nice case here. I use that to clean off my glasses when I'm letting fish go or casting and I get water on it. I just, it's very convenient and it's simple and easy. I'm just having to edit this here now, and I totally forgot to talk about the fluorocarbon leader I use. This is Seaguar 8 pound fluorocarbon leader. That's the stuff that sinks. This is just the stuff I use. They say it's 8 pound. It's as thin as 4 pound, and I swear to God, it's 45 pound. This stuff is strong and super abrasion resistant. So I would definitely recommend this stuff. I make an order on Amazon of 3 or 4 of these every year. So I'll put a link to that in the description for sure. Pair of pliers, good pair of pliers. These are split ring pliers. There's multiple good things you can use them for. I don't use split rings when I'm fly fishing, but they got nippers on them so you can cut your line. And they've got a nice flat spot here for pinching barbs because we have to use barbless here. So I always keep a pair of pliers on me like that. A couple other things in here, I believe. Got scissors for cutting line. Just another little pair of scissors to have. And this here is a tool that's definitely overlooked in my opinion. Forceps. I have silicone mucilin. Now, mucilin is dual purpose. This stuff is kind of like a Vaseline consistency, I want to say. It's my alternative to gink. A lot of you guys, especially if you're from Newfoundland, you know gink as your go-to floatant for your bombers or dry flies. Try mucilin. Mucilin is 10 times better than gink, and gink is good. You can imagine how good this stuff is. Silicone mucilin, I'll pop a fresh picture up on the video there just so you can actually see what it's like, because this is pretty wore down. So mucilin is one thing I can highly recommend to anybody fly fishing for salmon or just trout. Get you some mucilin. That stuff is awesome for dry flies. You only need a little tiny bit. The next thing in that same pocket is just a tape measure. Obviously, I probably don't need to explain what this is for. It's for measuring fish. It's just nice to have a little pocket tape measure. Now we're getting into my flies. This, this is totally personal preference. There are millions of flies that will catch Atlantic salmon. What is in this one? Okay, that's all trout flies. But there is 2 flies in my trout box that are killer for salmon, and I'll show you now. A lot of you aren't expecting this one. This is actually a very productive pattern for the late season Atlantic salmon. A little egg fly. These things work awesome. There's one particular river I was fishing last year where I want to say close to a dozen, I'll say 10 salmon came on this little egg fly over the course of a few days. It's a great fly. Don't overlook it for late season fish. Now I fished this one particularly in little tributaries of main rivers. The black ant works great. I'll come out on a limb and I'll say this right now, and it may be kind of controversial, but I don't care because it's true. They say Atlantic salmon don't eat. They eat when they're in the rivers, okay? I don't know if it's out of aggression or if they're genuinely ingesting it and digesting it, but all science says that they don't eat when they're in the rivers. From my experience, and definitely some of yours, I can tell you I've sat there in smaller rivers and just watched Atlantic salmon when I'm sight fishing for them, and you'll see them just sit there and eat little bugs. More often than not, if you're in a smaller river, sit and watch. They'll be facing the current and they'll just move over and gulp that baby up. And most of the time, it's ants, believe it or not. A lot of ants get tossed into little brooks and streams, and you'll see Atlantic salmon go gulp up ants. So it's a great fly to have. And from that method I just said, sitting there and watching, you'll learn a lot about the salmon you're about to fish after. This here is one of my Atlantic salmon boxes. There's just a huge variety of flies in this. I'm not gonna sit here and go through all the flies, but you can do just a little bit of research about the river you're fishing, ask some locals, stuff like that. And the biggest tip I can give to anybody going out salmon fishing, try something new. Try something totally new. I've caught salmon on things that people wouldn't even think about trying. I'll show you this one here. Shout out to my buddy Ryan Legg. He came up with this fly. I don't know if he came up with it. He taught this fly. I'm pretty sure he, kind of created it off of the green machine. But It's just a green machine. It's like a tiny bomber, but it's meant to be fished wet with a huge crystal tail on it. And these things are killer. These things work great. Like, they're a great fly. Just, you know, little things like that that you never think would work, try them, because I guarantee you, eventually you'll catch a fish on it. So these boxes, believe it or not, are not a brand name, nothing like that. These are the best boxes I've used for fly fishing. This one is a Max Catch brand, I believe, off of Amazon. They're huge, like, they're very big, and they fit perfectly in the pockets of my vest. And what I love about this down here is this is a very deep, deep little pocket here where you can sit your dry flies and your bombers, and the hackle won't get squat, and they don't touch each other too much, and it allows them to dry a little better as well. But it's great. You can fit dozens of flies in this. Like I said, Max Catch branding. This is not sponsored or anything. That would be cool though. Max Catch, if you're watching, hit me up. You got some good stuff. In here, just some big Atlantic salmon flies. Crazy stuff. Shout out Lucas Cutler. He sent me a bunch of these. These here I don't use for salmon, but they're just in my fly vest. These here I would use for salmon. Small flies with some crystal. These here are all weighted, so you can't use these for salmon. But I'd use those for brook trout and stuff like that. Well, folks, thanks for watching. Hope you found this video helpful, especially to those of you who recommended it. And without further ado, we have a giveaway to do, if I remember correctly. It's not for the cat. That might come next video. But back in, I want to say February or March, I did this giveaway announcement. And the giveaway announcement was for my merch of the winner's choice. There was a rod that the local tackle shop I work at is throwing in. There was a New View jacket of the winner's choice and a boatload of MFS lures. So we're gonna draw for that right now. There was a lot of entries. So let's make it simple. I'm gonna put all the entry names into a random generator, and we're gonna do one take. Okay. Cat. Dad's filming. Thank you. We're gonna do one take and see what happens. So good luck. This is the biggest giveaway I've ever done. We're talking entry-wise. We're talking entry-wise and price-wise of the prize. So we're gonna roll that right now. Congrats, Jeremy Cornish. I just got done from doing that. Went out in the living room, put it on a random comment generator, and I duplicated the names who bought some merch as promised. Congrats, Jeremy Cornish. You get in contact with me somehow. In my channel, there's a bunch of different links to my social medias. Wherever you're at, wherever you're from, Jeremy, my man, we'll get that out to you. So looking forward to hearing from you, and we'll get that out to you soon. Thanks for watching. Consider hitting that subscribe button. Lots of fishing going to be coming your way this summer. Lots of it. Might even take this little thing along on a fishing trip this summer. We will catch you guys on the next video.